What's going on, everyone? Division in America today doesn't feel random. It doesn't feel organic. It feels orchestrated. And when you look at the history, the data, the playbooks that have been used before, you start to see the outlines of a strategy that focuses right in on one of the deepest wounds of our society, race. And the question we really need to step back and ask ourselves is simple. Who benefits from keeping America divided? The paradox of progress polls show race relations in America are worse now than they were 20 years ago. Back in the early 2000s, Gallup surveys found that most Americans described race relations as good. Fast forward to the 2020s, and the majority say they're bad. And that's despite billions invested in programs, civil rights protections, diversity initiatives, cultural progress, DEI, you name it. By every measure, we should absolutely be better off. Yet, somehow, we're more fractured. That contradiction doesn't make sense unless you consider the possibility that division isn't just happening, it's being engineered. And the scary thing is that this isn't new. During the Cold War, the Soviets identified racial tension in America as one of the most exploitable weaknesses that we had. Declassified documents and defectors like Yuri Bezmenov, the former KGB agent, he described in detail how psychological warfare could destabilize a country without firing a single shot. The strategy is simple. Amplify the existing tensions, exploit grievances, turn activists into radicals, infiltrate the media and academia. Then beyond that, you want to demoralize the population until they lose faith in their institutions, and then let the country collapse from within. Bezmenov warned, you don't have to invade America. You make them fight each other in the streets. And that's not theory, that's testimony from someone who lived from inside of the system. Now let me ask you, look around. What do we see today? The media thrives on outrage, framing every single story in racial terms. And if you think I'm exaggerating for a second, take a look.
Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper. After nearly 5 years of investigation, the FBI finally announced that they had arrested a suspect accused of planting pipe bombs near the Republican and Democratic National Committee headquarters the night before the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting.
Join you here to John's reporting that they do know what he looks like, male, possibly white, mustache, sunglasses, in that building, isolated to, they believe, to various locations.
Come on, guys. No self-respecting journalist does things like this, or I can't think that they would unless they're being ordered to do it. I mean, even the government themselves is doing things like this. White, how does that happen? Then look at the social media platforms where algorithms reward division, pushing the most polarizing content to the top. Academia, where ideological battles spill into culture wars or literal executions, and activism that escalates into confrontation and violence pretty much regularly. These aren't isolated phenomena. They line up almost perfectly with the Cold War playbook, whether it's foreign influence, domestic opportunism, or some sort of combination of both. The result is the same. America tearing itself apart. Now, some say Putin controls Trump. Others say the elites are pulling the strings. But here's the bigger question. If manipulation is happening, why are we falling for it? Why are we letting ourselves be divided so easily? Because division is the simplest weapon. You don't need tanks or missiles or guns or whatever. You just need people to hate each other enough to burn their own house down. And once that fire starts, it spreads fast. So what are the mechanics of division? Well, it is straight out of the KGB's 1970s manuals. And here are some of the literal steps from that. First thing they want to talk about is creating racial tension, amplify the grievances, highlight the differences, suppress any and all common ground. Then you want to escalate ideological division, left versus right, urban versus rural, rich versus poor, you name it. Then infiltrate the media, control the narratives, reward sensationalism, punish dissent, and then right after that, you weaponize academia. Shift education from critical thinking to ideological indoctrination. What's the result of all this? You demoralize the population, convince people their country is broken, corrupt, and just beyond repair. Destabilize their culture, erode the traditions, mock their values, replace unity with cynicism. Does any of this sound familiar to anyone? It should. It's the environment we're living in right now. Now, here's the really uncomfortable truth. It's not just the Soviets. We know our own CIA has used the exact same tactics abroad. Look at Operation Mockingbird. We have the declassified evidence that shows the CIA infiltrated the American media during the Cold War to help shape the narratives. Or consider covert campaigns in Latin America, in Africa, in the Middle East, where they deliberately sowed division to destabilize governments. Whether that was from them funding opposition groups, or maybe we know that they, manipulated cultural fault lines and then spread propaganda to weaken regimes. These weren't theories. They were documented strategies. So if we know that our own agencies have used these tactics overseas, then the question becomes, who's pulling the strings now? Who benefits from watching America fracture along racial and ideological lines? Is it foreign adversaries exploiting our weaknesses? Or maybe domestic elites profiting from the chaos? Or a combination of both? Because division is a universal weapon. It doesn't matter whether it's Moscow or Langley. The mechanics of it are the same. You don't need bombs when you can weaponize perception. You really don't need armies when you can just turn neighbor against each other. The goal is brutally simple. Make the country hate itself. And once that happens, you don't need to attack anything. The people will do it for you. They'll fight in the streets. They'll burn their own cities. They will distrust their own institutions. And when that happens, the nation becomes weak, distracted, and therefore very easy to control. And don't think any of this is too far out there. We've seen this before. In the 1960s, Soviet propaganda amplified racial tensions in the US by distributing stories about segregation and police brutality, and they did that worldwide, painting America as just being completely hypocritical. In Latin America, CIA-backed campaigns fueled ideological divides to topple their governments. In Eastern Europe, both sides of the Cold War used media infiltration to destabilize their societies. The tactic works because it doesn't create division just out of thin air. It magnifies what already exists. And today, what we're seeing is the same methods are just turbocharged by technology. Social media algorithms act like accelerants, pushing outrage to the top of your feed. Then you have the bots and troll farms that just amplify racial and political content to inflame tensions. And then the mainstream outlets are just chasing clicks. They lean into the same cycle. And the result of all that, a mass population that feels hopeless, angry, and divided. Exactly what the playbook prescribes. And let me be crystal clear here. This isn't about left or right. It's not about one politician or another. As always, it's about recognizing the pattern, because if we don't, we'll just keep playing into it. We'll keep letting division be weaponized against us. And history shows us that once a society reaches a certain level of internal fracture, recovery is almost impossible without a major crisis. So here's the takeaway. Right now, especially, as we always say, vigilance isn't optional. Division isn't just a social problem, it's a national security threat. And if we don't start seeing it for what it is, we'll keep falling to the same trap. Remember, freedom doesn't collapse because of some sort of outside invasion. Look at after 9/11, we were so united. It collapses when people inside the country stop believing in it. And that's the danger we're in right now, because freedom without vigilance is fragile, and fragile freedom is freedom at risk. And with that, see you on the next one. As always, be safe.